everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I'm going to be making a macrame bassinet. I've never made one before and I'm really excited to try this out. I'm going to be making up this design as I go and I wanted to bring you guys along and show you the process. So here are some of the supplies I'm going to be using to make this baby swing, this macrame bassinet. I'm not sure how much cord I'm going to need to use because I've never made one before, but I'm starting off with this 4mm 3-ply 100% cotton cord, and I'm going to be using this pipe cutter because I'm going to be using copper pipe, and this is the ring I'm going to be using to hang the crib. Super glue is to glue the copper pipe together, and this is going to be the bottom. I'm actually going to be using a drill, a saw. I'm going to sand the edges so they're smooth, and then I'm going to be drilling holes through this piece of wood. I'm going to be starting on the copper pipe. I'm going to be cutting it. I'm using these 90-degree pipe fittings to connect the pipe together. Okay, so I just completed this top part and I wanted to give you guys the dimensions that I use. So we got this board cut at Home Depot, and this board measures 30 inches long by 17 inches wide. So I just measured and cut these copper pipe and I super glued these fittings onto it. And what I did is I took 2 inches off each pipe just because of these extra fittings. So I actually measured these ones 28 inches each, and these shorter bars are measured 15 inches each. And this is gonna be the top. So my husband picked up this copper for me and the fittings, and he actually bought like a soldering kit to solder them together, but I feel like super glue holds it together just fine and it lasts forever. So I actually just use simple super glue to hold these together, and it is not coming apart, especially once all the rope is tied to it. It's not going anywhere. So I'm going to be cutting the corners of the piece of wood off with this Milwaukee saw, and then I'm going to be sanding them smooth with this Ryobi hand sander. So I just finished sanding all the corners of this piece, and I am going to be drilling holes all the way around it so that the macrame can come through, and then there's going to be like a ½ foot of fringe hanging from the bottom of it. I'm starting to wrap this copper pipe right now. This is going to be the top of the crib, and I'm not going to wrap it very tight because I'm going to leave room so I can tie an extra cord onto it, or tons of extra cords onto it like that, and have them blend in. So I'm getting started on the top of this macrame bassinet baby swing, and I cut 16 pieces of cord, all measured at 11.5 foot long, and then I folded them in half. So I just tied a gathering knot around here to hold all these cords together. So this is what I've done so far. I tied a Chinese crown knot right there just to split them all up into 4 sections. And then I tied a row of square knots on this side, and the same pattern on this side, a row of square knots. And now I'm just giving little designs. I'm gonna do 2 of these throughout, and then I'm gonna connect the bottom pieces to the copper top of the bassinet. So I wanted to tell you guys how many pieces of cord I've used for this whole macrame bassinet. So I used 2 pieces of cord per square knot. So when I added them to this ring, so I wrapped the whole ring first with rope, but I didn't do it very tight. And then I added these kind of as I went too. Anyways, there's 14 square knots on this side, 14 square knots on the other side. There is 7 square knots on this side, 7 on the other side, and then there's 1 knot for each corner. So far I've used about 3 spools of my 4mm 3-ply 100% cotton cord, but you definitely could have used less because you could have made less knots, made them further apart, or did a complete different design. But that's what I have so far. So I'm going to be drilling all the holes in the bottom piece of wood I'm using for the macrame bassinet. I'm using this DeWalt drill gun, and I don't know what size that is, but it's going to work. So now that I'm finished drilling all the holes on this piece of wood, I am getting each section of knots, which is going to be 4 cords, and I'm putting them through these holes. I'm just like poking each piece of cord through at a time. I wanted to show you guys how I finished the bottom. So I put 4 cords through each of these holes. So that's 1 square knot. And then after I put them through, I tied a square knot right here. And then I connected 1 more square knot below the first one. So there's 2 rows of square knots right here. And then after I tied the square knots, I just unraveled each piece of rope and then I trimmed it to my desired length. So I changed the whole design on these top straps from what I did in the very beginning. And I want to show you guys what I did different. So I kept the top the exact same. I did the Chinese crown knot under here, and then I did a row of all the square knots right there. But I changed the design on these straps. I had 4 square knots tied right here as the design, and then 4 square knots tied right here. And instead I wanted to put tassels on this piece, so I untied those 3 square knots. I kept the original square knot right here, and then I tied clove hitch knots and made a macrame diamond, and I put a tassel in the middle of each diamond.